Good afternoon from Jerusalem, Israel. This is Mr. Lowell Gallin, founder of the Root and Branch Association Limited, established in the United States of God of Israel, bless America, in 1981 in New York State, and now celebrating our 41st year. Today is Monday, November 21st, 2022 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 27th day of the 8th Hebrew Israelite month of Cheshvan in the Hebrew Israelite calendar, year 5783. Welcome to episode 12B of our monthly Root and Branch Association Lost Tribes Fellowship seminar, chaired by Fellowship Chairman, Mr. Yair Davidiy, founder of the Brit-Am organization. Now, without further ado, let me hand over the mic to Mr. Davidiy, who is going to speak in this episode on the Messiah, son of Joseph, the Messiah, son of David, and the relation of the two Messiahs to the lost 10 tribes of Israel. Yair, it's all yours.
Shalom. This is Yair Davidiy speaking to you from the land of Israel. I'm being hosted by Lowell Gallin from the Root and Branch Society. It's a talk given through his grace, through his great assistance to us, and it's a constant encouragement throughout the years. I represent Brit-Am, Hebrew awareness. We believe the lost 10 tribes are amongst Western nations. Originally, there were 12 tribes in the land of Israel. They separated into two different sections. The northern section was conquered by the Assyrians and taken into exile. They were taken into exile in their places of exile. Physically, they remained more or less together in the same areas, but they lost consciousness, lost awareness of their ancestry, and they eventually moved. They moved together in concrete bodies that can be traced through history, through linguistics, through archaeology, through numerous sources of study that all point in the same direction, that all come together and indicate the lost 10 tribes are amongst Western peoples. And this is confirmed by the Bible, also by rabbinical writings, and by anything that is pertinent on the subject. It all comes together and leads us to the same conclusions. Today we're going to speak concerning the Messiah, son of David, the Messiah, son of Joseph, and the 10 tribes, and how they all come together and how they all point in the same direction. So we had the Messiah, son of David. The Messiah, son of David. David was the son of Jesse. He became the king of Israel. First was King Saul. After King Saul, David became king. Saul was from the tribe of Benjamin. David was from the tribe of Judah. David became king. And he was a great man. And he wrote the book of Psalms, which is one of the greatest works ever written, not only because of the religious content in it, but also from a literary point of view. And he was a great man in his own right, and he was followed by King Solomon. And when Solomon died, he was replaced by Rehoboam, and in the time of Rehoboam, the northern tribes separated. Nevertheless, David became a prototype of the future king, and he had been promised several times in the Bible that the right to the kingdom would always belong to him, and that in the future a king would come to redeem Judah and to redeem all of Israel and to rectify the world and to put the world right back on the right path. And this was a promise given to the David, and it is repeated in the Bible. And this is the Messiah, son of David. Belief in the Messiah, son of David, is an article of faith. Maimonides wrote 13 principles of faith for Jews to follow, and Maimonides was a great authority, and most Jews abide by these principles. And one of these principles was, I believe, with perfect faith in the coming of the Messiah, and though he may tarry, still I await him every day. Every day the Jews await the Messiah. By Messiah, I mean the Messiah, son of David. Maimonides has also been understood to say that the Messiah, son of David, will do the following. He will restore the throne of David, because the only real king, the only rightful king of all of Israel is from the seed of David. And something is wrong with the world. Something needs correction when this is not in place. He will restore the throne of David. He will rebuild the temple. Other sources say that the temple will be rebuilt shortly before he appears. At all events, the rebuilding of the third temple, of the future temple, is connected with the Messiah, son of David. And the Messiah, son of David, will gather the exiles. He will gather in all of the Jews from all over the world, and also gather in the 10 tribes. And he will restore the Torah. He will enforce the learning and belief in and practice of the Torah laws according to the Hebrew Bible. He will also be a descendant of David. He will, according to Maimonides, he does not have to perform signs or wonders. He just has to do these things and to be worthy of being considered the Messiah. But this is not exactly acceptable, because we find in the Bible that the Messiah, son of David, will have supernatural powers, at least powers much, much beyond those that normal human beings are associated with, and he will be able to carry out miraculous deeds. See Isaiah chapter 11, where some of these are enumerated. At all events, other aspects of Messiah, son of David, according to Maimonides, is that he will be a student of the Torah. He will know the Torah. He will be a great scholar, and he will also encourage or coerce even the rest of Israel to study the Torah and to understand it. He will fight the wars of the Lord. He will fight the laws of God. Elijah will come before him. Elijah will come before the Messiah, son of David. Also, the battle of Gog and Magog, the end time wars, will precede the day of the Messiah, son of David. There will be great wars in the world before he appears. He will purify the priesthood and the Levites. Nowadays, we still have descendants of the Levites and the Kohens. Anyone called Kohen, anyone called Levi is probably a descendant of Aaron from the tribe of Levi, and also ordinary Levites also from the tribe of Levi, and they have, both of them have tasks in Hebrew law to fulfill and to officiate in the temple service, and also to teach the rest of Israel Torah. And we may assume that most of them really do belong to the tribe of Levi there, and we have evidence confirming this. Nevertheless, the Messiah, son of David, will make this certain. He will purify the priesthood and the Levites, and after that he will purify all of Israel. He'll purify and identify the rest of Israel. He will identify the tribes of Israel, all of the tribes. He will confirm their identification, and he will set in process a means by which everyone may know to which tribe they belong to. Every Israelite will be enabled to know, made known unto them which Israelite, the tribe they belong to. He will identify the tribes of Israel, as Ezekiel 47 says that anyone who's not from the tribe of Israel, because it stands to reason that over the centuries, people from all over percolated inside the national body, as happens with all national entities. And not all of us are necessarily descended physically from the tribes of Israel, even though we may dwell amongst them. So Isaiah 47 says that even such people who dwell amongst the tribes of Israel, in the end times will be counted. The Messiah will include them within the tribes amongst whom they dwell. So that is worth keeping in mind. And a lot of us may be descended from mixed marriages, who knows what. We don't always necessarily know where we came from. We're not certain. Nevertheless, as long as we live amongst people who are descended from the tribes of Israel and we identify with them, we are part of them. Also, in the time of the Messiah, there will eventually be no hunger or wars. He will cause all nations of the world to dwell in peace. And the chief occupation of the earth will be the learning of the Torah, or will be the learning of what God wants of us, everyone according to their own level, to what the Almighty decides they shall do and what they are suited to do. These are principles from Jewish law concerning the Messiah, son of David. We also have a lot of sources in the Bible on the same theme. And the numerous sources, Genesis 4:9-12, speaks about a future Savior coming from Judah. Jeremiah 33:15 says, in those days and at that time, of course, a righteous branch of David to spring forth, and he should execute justice and righteousness on the earth. Isaiah 3 says, beginning from verse 5, after which of the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God, and David their king. And David their king. In the end times, it will seek David their king, and shall come trembling unto the Lord and to his goodness in the end of days. Psalms 2 verse 7, I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me, you are my son, today I have become your father, speaking to the Messiah. Ask me, I will make your nations your inheritance, the lands of the earth your possession. Zechariah 9 also speaks of the Messiah. 9:9, rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout in triumph, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king is coming to you. He is just and endowed with salvation. Humble and mounted on a donkey, even on a colt, the foal of a donkey. And he goes on in the same theme. Jeremiah 23 says, behold, the days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he will reign as king and act wisely, and do justice and righteousness in the land. The Messiah will rectify the world. He will rule righteously, and first amongst the Jews, then amongst the Jews and the Gentiles together, and then over the whole world. He will bring the world back to where it wants to be, where it should have been in the first place before the exile from the Garden of Eden. And now we have Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11 is a very important chapter concerning the 10 tribes, also concerning other matters, and he relates to it, what we have said, and to other things. Isaiah 11:1, beginning from Isaiah 11:1, he says, shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse. Jesse was the father of David. And a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Messiah, son of David, is descended from David, the son of Jesse. And 2, it says, the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. He will have superhuman powers. The Messiah, son of David, will have superhuman powers. 3, verse 3, 11:3, Isaiah 11:3 says, his delight is in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, decide with equity for the meek of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth. With the breath of his lips he shall slay the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt of his loins, and faithfulness the belt of his waist. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, the calf and the young lion are fattening together, and a little child shall lead them. Maimonides and others say this is symbolic. This is speaking symbolically, that in other words, there will be peace in the earth, and the men will not oppress each other, and everyone will want the good of each other, and we will learn to get along. But you take it as you want it. This is a Bible, and has to be accepted at some level. Verse 7, Isaiah 11:7, he says, the cow and the bear shall graze, the young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall be played by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his land in the viper's den. Human nature will change. The whole the nature of the earth will change. People will be better than they are now. And there's evidence that how people act, how we act in our society, that influences the animals. Animals are influenced by how human beings act. And when we act in a better way, when all of humanity acts in a better way, so too the nature itself will change it for the better. 9, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. Correct knowledge and the fear of heaven shall be go out from Jerusalem to all of mankind, and all humanity will accept and abide by it. 10, and that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand as a banner to the people. Jesse is the father of David. He shall be a banner, a point of assembly, of unification. For the Gentiles, the nations, shall seek him, and his resting place shall be glorious. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time, to recover the remnant of his people who are left. Now he is talking about bringing in the exiles, the descendants of Jews and descendants from the 10 tribes, who were lost, who were not aware of their ancestry, to recover the remnant of his people who are left from Assyria and Egypt, from Patras and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. There are 8 places. These places represent the areas of exile where descendants of Judah and the 10 tribes were sent to or somehow got to. And the names given are not necessarily the names we associate with them. For instance, Egypt is in the Bible. The Hebrew Bible is known as Messiahs-2, and usually it does refer to Messiahs, the place we know now as Egypt. But there's evidence that in some contexts it could also refer to Russia. And so too with the other names. They can refer to other places than how they have been translated. And these 8 places are places where the descendants of the exiles will be, and they will be brought back from there. And he goes on, he will set up a banner for the nations, and he'll assemble outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah. And so the commentators, the outcasts of Israel, mean the 10 tribes were thrown out, cast out of the land, but they remained together. They are referred to as the outcasts of Israel, whereas the Jews were not all together when they were exiled. They were scattered all over the earth. They were dispersed of Judah. So the 2 will come together under the Messiah, son of David. That means the 10 tribes and the Jews will once become one nation under his rule. From the 4 corners of the earth they shall come. And also the envy, it says in 11:13, the envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not harass Ephraim. In other words, until that time, there had been times in history within 2 halves, the 10 tribes in Judah had been at one age going at each other, had been friction between the 2. And they did not always get along, but this will be healed. They will be reconciled and together. And then we have a verses in Hebrew that should be reinterpreted or may be reinterpreted, as we shall show. In 14 it says, shall they fly down upon the shoulder of the Philistines toward the west. Actually, they shall cause to fly in wings. The Philistines probably represent the Palestinians, because the Palestinians are named after the Philistines. Palestine is a Latin version of the word for Philistine, and they call themselves that in honor of the original Philistines. And the Bible wanted to identify them. It couldn't find a better word in biblical language than to refer to them as Philistines. So this indicates that Judah and Ephraim together will cause the Palestinians to be flown out to some place in the west. That may solve a lot of problems. And then it goes on how they will attack other places and subdue them. Together they shall plunder the people of the east. They shall lay their hand on Edom and Moab, and the people of Ammon shall obey them. And then great miracles will happen. The Lord will utterly destroy the tongue of the sea of Egypt. With his mighty wind, he will shake his fist over the river and strike it in 7 streams. Make men cross over dry eyesore, but there will be highways, the remnant of his people will be left from Assyria. And this is a reference to the 10 tribes when they return. And it is worth noting that based on Isaiah, this Isaiah chapter 11 that we have just read, based on all the Bible, but especially the chapter 11, Rabbi Don Isaac Abarbanel, a great biblical commentator, one of the greatest ones who ever was, in my opinion, is also not only in my opinion, but many others also revere him and appreciative of his works. And he considered the future return of the 10 tribes a virtual article of faith in its own right. He lived in 1437, 1508, and he was historically important. He'd been the treasurer, the king of Portugal, the king of Spain. He was the head of the Jewish community when they were exiled in 1492. After that, he went to Sicily, he went to Naples, he went to Venice, and he got around, and he was internationally known and respected for his scholarship. And he also was very learned.